of Finance and the Public Service. Okay, let's just have a seat. And the Public Service. Okay, we are going to remain standing as the national anthem will now be played. You may be seated. Honorable Dr. Nigel Clark, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Honorable Audrey Sewell, Cabinet Secretary, Permanent Secretaries of the various ministries, departments, and agencies, Dr. Ruby Brown, Chief Executive Officer of the Management Institute for National Development, Devon Rowe, Executive Director of CARICAD, Professor Waller, Chair of the Mine Advisory Board and other members of the Advisory Board, esteemed conference presenters, distinguished guests, my esteemed MIND colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good morning and welcome to the MIND Public Sector Regional Leadership Development Conference 2024 after a hiatus of a few years. I am Georgia Sinclair, the Senior Manager for Leadership Development at MIND and Chair of the Conference Committee, and I will be your Master of Ceremonies over the course of the next 2 days. It is my honor to welcome you to the MIND Regional Public Sector Leadership Development Conference 2024 under the theme of Sustaining Public Sector Transformation Through Leadership for Service Excellence. A special welcome to our overseas delegates who have joined us on embarking on an important journey to explore and understand the critical role of leadership in driving sustainable transformation for service excellence within the public sector. Today, we gather here not only as leaders and professionals, but also as catalysts of change within our respective public sector organizations. We therefore have a collective responsibility to uphold service excellence and foster innovation in order to meet the evolving needs of our citizens. As we embark on this enriching conference, our agenda is packed with a diverse range of sessions led by renowned experts who bring with them a wealth of knowledge and experience. From keynote speeches to panel discussions to networking opportunities to the MIND Public Life Award luncheon, every aspect has been thoroughly or thoughtfully curated to provide you with valuable takeaways that can be implemented in your own professional journey. The power of shared experiences cannot be understated. Therefore, I encourage each one of you to actively engage in conversations throughout these next few days. Share your thoughts, ask questions, seek guidance, because it is through collective effort that we can truly make a lasting impact as we strive for continued service excellence progress in our public service endeavors. I'm confident that together we will leave here inspired and equipped with new perspectives on how best we can serve those who rely on us every day. Let's make these next 2 days truly transformative ones. I now invite Rosemary Jeffrey, one of MIND's capability development specialists, to lead us in prayer.
Good morning, everyone. Are you hearing me? I'm a little bit tall, eh? Yes. Let us bow our heads to pray. Dear God and Heavenly Father, we invite you into our presence at this, our Regional Public Sector Leadership Development Conference, where we are focused on the theme, Sustaining Public Sector Transformation Through Leadership for Service Excellence. You are welcome in this place. God of grace and glory, as we approach these days of coming together to conference, favor us continually with your presence. You are the source of all knowledge and understanding. Therefore, guide our sharing in every aspect. We place every topic and matter to be presented on and discussed in your capable hands. Give us the knowledge and insight we need to face any challenge that may present itself with strength and determination. Help us to overcome and to always be victorious. Father, we lift up our leaders at this conference in the region and worldwide up to you today. Draw them close to yourself and your wisdom and your ways through your grace. Lord, we ask that you would help them lead in a way that will align to your plan and in the best interest of all the peoples, organizations, and the nations that they serve. Bless the delegates, presenters, and everyone who have contributed to make all this possible. For these and all other mercies, we thank you, dear God. In your precious name we pray, and together we say, Amen.
Thank you, Rosemary. I now welcome to the stage a little but Talawa woman who has led the Management Institute for National Development, the team, since 2005 in her capacity as Chief Executive Officer, the affable and visionary leader, Dr. Ruby Brown, who will bring her welcome remarks.
Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Mrs. Audrey Sewell, Cabinet Secretary, Permanent Secretaries across our ministries, departments, and agencies of government, Professor Lloyd Waller, Chairman of Mines Advisory Board, Mr. Devon Rowe, Executive Director, CARICAD, distinguished and most esteemed presenters, distinguished delegates, and our awesome mine team. I just want to say an extra special welcome to this Mines Regional Public Sector Leadership Development Conference. And it's an absolute pleasure to have each of you here with us today. Allow me, please, to share a brief story that highlights why leaders prioritizing their own development, as you are doing today, is not an option, but a must-do and a can-do. Imagine for a moment a leader who was deeply passionate about her role in the public service. She dedicated countless hours to solving problems and serving her agency with unwavering dedication. However, as challenges became more intricate, she realized the need to enhance her leadership skills so as to be able to effectively navigate the evolving landscape. With the encouraging support of a family member, she committed herself to enrolling in a leadership development program. And thereafter, one program after another. Through these experiences, she gained fresh perspectives, acquired innovative strategies, and refined her competence, and may I add, her confidence, to inspire and empower her team. The investment in her development not only transformed her leadership approach, but also significantly enhanced her efficiency and effectiveness of her organization. In fact, it's her leadership which gave life to Mines Leadership Development Thrust in keeping with the agency's mandate. and led to the conceptualization of these annual Leadership Development Conference. At MIND, we firmly believe that effective leadership is central to sustainable development. It's at the heart of good governance and the delivery of public services with excellence. Our conference theme, Sustaining Public Sector Transformation Through Leadership for Service Excellence, embodies this belief. So over the next few days, we'll be privileged to host a distinguished lineup of speakers, presenters, delivering on an exciting agenda, featuring, as Georgia shared earlier, thought-provoking discussions and sessions, all designed to elevate our leadership capabilities. So it's my invitation, therefore, to let us seize the opportunities for collaboration and networking that the conference provides, and forge even greater connections. In fact, let's ignite some of our former connections as we support each other on our journey towards more effective leadership. A highlight of our conference is the Public Life Award for Leadership Excellence. This award really celebrates individuals who demonstrates outstanding leadership in public service. And so tomorrow we eagerly anticipate honoring 2 such exemplary leaders from our region at our awards luncheon. But as I extend my warmest welcome to you all, I want to also express my gratitude, yes, my sincerest gratitude to our Cabinet Secretary, to our advisory board, and to our partner, CARICAD, for their leadership support. And to our presenters, our speakers, our organizing committees, our sponsors, and the dedicated MIND team. And above all, your delegates. I thank you. For I know that your support today and tomorrow, and your support yesterday, in fact, and right on into Friday, will certainly make this conference a resounding success. One that will undoubtedly positively shape the future of public sector leadership in our region. So once again, thank you. Thank you for embarking on this enriching leadership development journey with us. As we act on our commitment to having our collective leadership sustain transformed public service, one for which service excellence is nothing but the hallmark. Enjoy the next couple of days with us.
Thank you very much, Ruby, and I'm sure we're already starting to get excited, right? Setting the stage. For most of us here today, this gentleman needs no introduction. Former Financial Secretary in the Ministry of Finance and Planning, and now Executive Director of the Caribbean Center for Development Administration, CARICAD. Please help me in welcoming to the stage Mr. Devon Rowe, who will bring greetings on behalf of our conference partners.
Thank you very much. And it's always good to be home. It's good to be in Jamaica. And it's not only I who say that, but everybody I come in contact with in Jamaica. So, Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark, Minister of Finance and Public Service, Honorable Audrey Sewell, Cabinet Secretary, Permanent Secretaries of the various ministries, departments and agency heads, Dr. Ruby Brown, Chief Executive Officer of MIND, and Professor Waller, chair of the Mind Advisor Board, and other members of the Advisor Board. And I trust you will forgive me as I recognize Penelope Linton, Director General in the Ministry of Public Service in Barbados, where CARICAD is located, who is here today, as well as Tony Halton, who is Chair of the Public Service Commission in Barbados, who have made their way here today to participate with us. And I'm not saying that because I want to get back home in Barbados. I'm saying it because I actually recognize them as important collaborators and contributors to our process here. Esteemed conference presenters, distinguished guests, my esteemed Mind colleagues who I've been working with over the past 6 months or so, or 7, 8 months, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good morning to you all. Not only am I happy to be back here in Jamaica, but happy to see so many persons that I know personally and professionally here in this room. And I trust you'll forgive me one last time if I recognize Tisha Clark Griffiths, who is president of the Civil Service Association of Jamaica. And I do so because in our own work at CARICAD, we recognize that integrating the union in the work that we do is critical. All that I've just said is a precursor to the fact that I have lost my screen. And as a result of which, I'm rapidly trying to find it back so that I may continue this conversation. But since I'm here, I'll just speak from the heart. And I will say, as I said to Tracy, Dr. Tracy Harrell, not too long ago, that my purpose for being here is to ensure that whatever CARICAD can do to participate here, to ensure that we have a mindset shift towards excellence and constant innovation occurs at this conference. We have continued along the path, we have started along the path, and I think we need to continue along the path. CARICAD is an organization of CARICOM, and we were established as far back as 1975 and became operational in 1980. We are the region's focal point for public sector transformation, and we work across 17 countries in the Caribbean region, independent and non-independent states. Our purpose is to accelerate economic and social transformation through the improvement of strengthening of administrative capabilities. MIND was formed in 1994, and MIND was a combination of existing governmental training institutions that existed prior to the formal creation of MIND. I remember that as far back as 1984, I was, yes, despite my youthful appearance, I was around in 1984. I recall that I would have done my first training course with MIND in supervisor management. MIND at the time did not exist in 84, but its precursor, the Administrative Staff College, was well in existence and training many public servants. What we have today here is a furtherance of that early vision of MIND to be that premier institution in Jamaica training public sector workers. They have done extremely well, and I look forward to their continued work here in Jamaica. It is logical, therefore, that CARICAD should be associated with MIND in this endeavor as a logical partner, because our work covers the region, and working along with mind, we are able to not only work along with those other countries in the region, but to also extract from Jamaica some of the benefits that Jamaica has derived, being the largest populated English-speaking country in the Caribbean. So therefore, it is logical that MIND and Jamaica continues to have a leadership role to play in the development of our region. Being an entity of CARICOM, we believe in one Caribbean. We believe that our small size does not prohibit us from doing world-class things. Our Minister of Finance is here, and he will attest to a world-class activity in an economic reform program, a world-class activity that is transforming not only Jamaica, but showing other countries across the world that it is indeed possible to undertake economic transformation despite climate change and Hurricane Beryl, despite global financial crises, and despite other challenges that we may face which are geographic to our region. I believe that it is logical that we continue this strong partnership with MIND, because it can only redound not only to the benefit of Jamaica, but to the region as a whole. I promised to be brief, and I will stick to that commitment. In 2018, I believe it was in this very same room that we spoke to undertaking the continuation of the Caribbean Leadership Development Project. At the time, the Caribbean Leadership Project was coming to an end. It was financed by 20 million Canadian dollars, and we're very grateful to the Canadians for that support. But when we made the decision to take over the program, we did so knowing that we would not have any resources. And as my good friend Dr. Lloyd Parks will tell me all the time, those without money must think. And so we thought about it, and we developed a business case that allowed us to today be able to announce here in this very same room that the Caribbean Leadership Development Program, which has replaced the Caribbean Leadership Project, is sustainable and going to new heights. I want to thank the Canadians for the contributions that they made, and I want to thank persons sitting at the table of presenters here, who I shall not name because they know themselves, for their contributions to the success of the Caribbean Leadership Program and their continued association with us to ensure that it continues. Why are we talking about leadership here today? We're talking about leadership here today because it is the essential ingredient for implementation and success. Even though change management and changing mindsets are required, it requires leadership at that center to be the essential component that drives the change that we want to see. And now that I've got your attention, I will say, be careful what you ask CARICAD to do, because we will do it. I want to also thank other board members of CARICAD, other persons from the region who are here, who are participating with MIND, to make this a truly Caribbean event. And with that, I want to end my comments here to say simply that, as the African proverb says, we have to work together. Wisdom is not in any single person, because no single person can embrace totally and surround the baobab tree. So the baobab tree is a large tree. It requires all of us working together, collaborating, in order to ensure that we achieve the success that we set for ourselves. And thank you very much. And I trust that we shall have another good conference. As the speeches have
Thank you very much, Devon. It is now my distinct pleasure to welcome on stage the esteemed and distinguished Professor Waller, Chair of Mines Advisory Board, who will bring us some brief remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Ms. Dr. Brown, I told you that we should have had the food first and some alcohol. So let's try that again. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right. Excellent. You know, I was watching a webinar a couple weeks ago, and they were looking at leadership and leaders. And there was a discussion about what we know about the different characteristics, traits, styles of leadership. But it was a very interesting discussion, much different from any that I've ever seen. And the discussion was looking at how do you identify a leader in a space. And there are many variables that they were comparing, but the one unique variable that they had was that the leader is always the person who is on their phone. So if you look around and you see someone down in their phone for a prolonged period of time, it's a telltale sign of leadership. Now, it's not a bad thing, you know why? It is a representation or an articulation of learning. Because whatever it is that they're doing in their phone, it's a learning process. Whether it's the latest gossip, or dealing with a particular crisis, or just getting information about an enemy, right? It is still learning in the same way that children actually learn when they're growing up. When you put the tablets in front of them and they're learning. And that being said, it's actually a segue into my speech. All protocols observed, and a special welcome to you, Minister, you, Madam Cabinet Secretary. As I said, as I was trying to articulate, learning is a lifelong process, especially for leaders, and particularly today in this complex, accelerated digital world that we're living in. I keep telling my friends that we're literally in a new world. Unfortunately, many persons are not seeing it. But think about it. If you were somehow cryogenically frozen on the 1st of January 2020 and revived today, things would be so different. It would be almost impossible to cope in some particular context. In organizations, for example, some of the more interesting things that have manifested cut across generative AI, quiet quitting, overemployment, hybrid work, the rise of employee activism. We've seen a lot of that here in Jamaica in recent past. Retiree hiring, flexible work and life process, labor hoarding, augmented reality work. I did that one in 2022 using an Oculus from Facebook. Yeah, still doing therapy for that one. Drone employees, monitoring millennials and their woke culture. Consequently, leaders today have to be very courageous, resilient. They need to be able to navigate uncertainty. They need to be tech-savvy, self-aware, valuing vulnerability, being committed to delegation, unwavering in their practice of transparency and accountability, trusting, compromising, and in some instances, conflict resolvers. Very complex issues. So these are the issues and trends that we at Mind are also monitoring, trying to evaluate what the future of leadership will look like with a view of evaluating our own product offerings, our own courses, so that we can be able to better retrofit the public sector with the needs and the skills and the capacities and the capabilities to be resilient workers, to be workers who are in sync with the world that we live in today. And to be quite frank, mine is already underway. I do not want to say all of the surprises, but mine is being retrofitted. You know, wherever I land, it has to be transformed immediately. Even if it doesn't need to be transformed, it still needs to be transformed, right? So Ms. Brown, Dr. Brown, are putting you on notice right now that we have a lot to do in terms of transforming mine into this place and space that everybody wants to go to learn how to be a leader. And this conference, as simple as some of you may just say, okay, I have to go because my boss said I need to go. It's really an opportunity for you to network, let people know who you are, let people know that you exist if you have any intention for growth and development in your organization, AKA if you want more money, right? So it's not just that I'm coming here to sit down and be on my phone for whatever reason because you're learning, but I'm here because I have presence. And I'm here because I want to learn. And we're here at Mind because we also want to learn. Because as we package and retrofit our courses to be able to best serve you, we have to know about what you want. We have to know about what you know. We want to know about what you want to know. And I'm extraordinarily happy to be a part of this transition, this transformation, this new world view of how Mind operates. So I look forward to the discussions, and I'm happy that you're here. Call your friend and tell him to come. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you very much, Professor Waller. In addition to CARICAD as a conference partner, our other conference partner is the Office of the Cabinet. And so it is my pleasure to now call on the Honorable Audrey Sewell, Cabinet Secretary of the Office of the Cabinet, Jamaica, who will bring her remarks and then present the key speaker who will bring the call to conference.
Thank you, Mrs. Sinclair. Protocols have been established, but permit me to acknowledge again Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark, Minister of Finance and the Public Service. Professor Waller, we just heard from him, Chairman of the Advisory Board of Mind. Dr. Ruby Brown, the CEO of Mind. And along with her team, that wonderful, awesome team of Mind. Yes, I came on board, yes. And I see one of the board members. Oh, this is where the board sits. Okay, I see. Board members to be acknowledged, be recognized. Also, I want to acknowledge again Mr. Devon Rowe. At one point in his life, we sat side by side, and last night at the reception, he said, oh, that's where the Mavericks sat. Not me. He probably was, but yes, we used to sit and talk and exchange thoughts. I am so happy to see my permanent secretaries. Very, very happy, and yes. And Tisha, you notice that everywhere I go, I'm carrying them with me. Yes, and they were online yesterday. They caused me to cancel PS board meeting yesterday because they said that they will be at the seminar, the conference yesterday. PSs, a very special welcome. Yes. And our first female president of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, Mrs. Tisha Clark Griffiths. Yes. And both of us, we are turning up together at functions. So welcome, Tisha. Ambassador Joan Underwood. Yes. Good to see you again, Ambassador. Our presenters, attendees, everyone, good morning. Yes, it is a pleasure to be here today, despite the storms, the hurricanes, and uncertainties that we have faced. We have come together for Mind's Regional Leadership Development Conference 2024. And it shall be an excellent experience. It is truly heartening to see so many dedicated professionals today. Your presence signifies a shared commitment to excellence in our public service, despite the challenges that we have faced. While the online platform is effective, nothing compares to the energy of being together in person, especially when Caribbean people connect. And we are happy to have our colleagues here from other Caribbean islands. Welcome, especially. This energy is vital for us as leaders to recharge our batteries, to be better for ourselves and for others. It was undoubtedly a great decision on your part to make the trip, and I'm sure you'll be better off for it. The theme, Sustaining Public Sector Transformation Through Leadership for Service Excellence, captures the essence of the mission of this conference. Simon Sinek reminds us, I quote, "Leadership is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of those in your charge," end of quote. This conference is dedicated to nurturing such leadership of those in your charge. For those who know me, you know that I believe this quote to be the core of my own successes, which would not have been possible without the incredible teams that I have worked with during my work life, some of whom I have here. And I want to, again, I've said it over and over and over, the greatest success of a leader is to have a great team. And I have been so blessed. Leaders must inspire transformation, and the process must be deliberate. Sustaining public sector transformation requires a long-term vision. We must embed reforms into our system and cultures to ensure that they endure beyond immediate challenges. Peter Drucker once said, quote, "The best way to predict the future is to create it," end of quote. We must be proactive in fostering environments where innovation thrives. The future we are creating is one of service excellence. And I see Marjorie here. She walks it, she talks it, she lives it, she sleeps it. Yes, Marjorie. Where public officers master a blend of strong technical prowess and behaviors that make citizens feel valued. Building a culture of excellence is our collective responsibility. It involves setting high standards, celebrating successes, and continually seeking improvement. We must always be in the mode of continuous improvement, no matter how good we think we are. There are always other ways, better ways. Collaboration is essential. As John C. Maxwell aptly puts it, teamwork makes the dream work. But a vision becomes a nightmare when the leader has a big dream and a bad team. While various factors contribute to the development of effective teams, what is crucial is that achieving our vision requires the right team. Leaders need effective, cohesive teams. Mind's Leadership Conference will help you to sharpen, and help me too, the tools needed to build and sustain high-quality teams. Our achievements over the years are thanks to the visionary leaders who have paved the way. Many of us may recall teachers from our childhood who made a difference in our lives. It is now our duty to reciprocate by participating in and endorsing events like this conference, which has the potential to drive significant positive change. We must develop as great leaders for ourselves, and more importantly, to support others in becoming their best selves. The government of Jamaica prioritizes human development as a national imperative, and we know the good book clearly states that without knowledge, the people perish. Without vision, we perish. It is essential to enrich the knowledge and skills of our workforce to advance our collective vision for Jamaica and the Caribbean. This conference is a prime opportunity to do just that. The conference program and all the literature leading up to the conference have expressed the high caliber of the presenters. They are experienced, qualified, and passionate about people. I implore you, ladies and gentlemen, to seize this opportunity. Commit to learning and apply these insights to make a difference wherever you are currently and where you will be in the future, or where you strive to be. As we gather, let us focus on fostering a mindset that values service excellence as a cornerstone of effective leadership. We aim to redefine the culture of public service, making it more customer-focused, innovative, and results-driven. Minds Leadership Conference offers a unique stage to expand our professional networks and learn from standards and best practices across the region and beyond. I envision a future where stories of poor service within the public sector become the exception and not the norm. We want to flip the coin. We are on the right trajectory, but not there yet. We want to be inundated with positive feedback that reflects a change in how we do things. Yes, we have achieved much already, but there is more to be done. And the delegation here today is crucial in continuing this positive momentum, and the change starts first in how we consistently think and what we choose to believe. Let us collaborate through leadership for service excellence to sustain public sector transformation. Remain agile, continue to learn, and keep fighting the good fight as the future we hope for is within reach. I can taste it, I can feel it, and I pledge to remain in this mindset into perpetuity. I believe you will as well. Thank you, and I wish you all a very productive and inspiring conference. I am excited to see what we will achieve together. So now that I have made you feel even more welcome and made my personal charge to the delegation, I have another special responsibility, which is to introduce to you the gentleman who will officially offer the conference call. He has perhaps one of the most popular faces in Jamaica, and last night I was speaking at the reception briefly to one of the presenters and, saying, it's Dr. Nigel Clark. Oh, yes. And it's like, he was just egging me on because he knows who this Dr. Nigel Clark is. He has a world face. Yes. He's not only a politician, but been a fine example of cognitive brilliance of this small island we call home. I consider it to be of great importance for us to cherish our high achievers, pick them up whenever we can. In the Jamaican culture, there's a saying, encouragement sweetens labor, which simply means persons love to know when they are doing well, and it makes it easier for them to continue to do good work. This is true of all of us, regardless of our positions in life. A synopsis of who this man is. The Honorable Nigel Clark is Jamaica's Minister of Finance and the Public Service and the Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Northwestern. He has served as Ambassador of Economic Affairs, where he represented Jamaica's interest with the multinational lateral institutions and as senator in the upper house of the Jamaican Parliament between 2013 and 2015. His public sector career includes service over various periods as chairman of the National Housing Trust, chairman of the Port Authority of Jamaica, chairman of the Heart Trust, and director of the Bank of Jamaica. You notice there's a common thread there, all the money institutions. So it's very fitting that he has found himself where he's at now. He served as vice chairman of the Musson Group, where over 15 years he played an integral executive leadership role in the expansion of the group from a base in Jamaica to having subsidiaries in 30 countries. In his private sector career, Dr. Clark is recognized for having led, managed, or executed dozens of acquisitions and corporate transactions, primarily in the Caribbean and Central America, but also in Europe and the Pacific, and for his expertise in structuring and negotiating large-scale in-bond equity and debt investments from major global institutions. He has been the chairman, vice chairman, or director of many companies listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, and his private sector experience spans broad areas of the economy, including manufacturing, distribution, consumer goods, telecom services, agriculture, food processing, banking, insurance, property development, and many others. He has been an active social entrepreneur, where he is a founding chairman of the National Youth Orchestra of Jamaica, an NGO that operates music for social change programs at 8 centers in Kingston and Spanish Town. He's a recipient of the PSOJ's 50 Under 50 Business Leader Award, as well as the Kiwanis Community Service Award. And I could go on and on and on. But ladies and gentlemen, I pause here to present to you our speaker of the moment, Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark, Minister of Finance and the Public Service.
I know in my next life who I'm going to call on when I need a reference. Members of the speaking table, Cabinet Secretary of Jamaica, the Honorable Audrey Sewell, Chairman of MIND, Professor Waller, CEO of MIND, Dr. Brown. I like to call him former financial secretary. That's the capacity that I know him in. Mr. Devon Rowe, President of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, and one who shares a name, Tisha Clark Griffiths. Tisha Griffiths, you call it now. She don't want to call it Clark anymore. Distinguished participants and guests to Jamaica, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's always good to see the kinds of investments that are being made in public sector development, public sector leadership, and public sector visioning. Because you can't be or aspire to have a great country if we do not have a great public service. I'm happy to see the permanent secretaries here today. I'm just seeing this table over here, the concentration of the top leaders in the public service, and many others here who occupy leadership positions in the civil service and some in public bodies. The activities of the public service impact life on a daily basis. You just can't get away from the public service. From you wake up in the morning and you leave your home. In fact, you don't even have to get out of your home. The garbage is to be collected as a public service. You step out of your house, whether you are in a bus, a car, or a taxi, you're driving on a public service road. You come to an intersection, the traffic light is maintained by the public service. You go to pay your taxes, that's the public service. You collect your posts, that's the public service. You drop your kids at school, you're dealing with the public service. You go to a clinic or a hospital. The public service is intertwined, or public services are intertwined with everyday life. And that is why, if you want to have a great country, you must have a great public service. I like to make the point, as I've made not a unique point or an original point, but a set of facts that I often refer to, that all of the great civilizations or great nations, great countries of the world, and by great, we're talking about high levels of attainment in economic development and political space. They have only been able to achieve those heights on the back of excellent public administration. Whether you're talking about the 5,000-year-old Chinese civilization, or you're talking about the Babylonians or the Egyptians, the Romans, the British in the 19th century, or 18th century, 19th century, early 20th century, or the Americans. What they all have in common is that they have mastered the art of public administration. And if we want to have a great country, we must have a great public service. Now, we face challenges that other countries face, but we face particular challenges that are associated with our size, our small size. You know, when you have an economic disruption or a natural disaster disruption in Florida or in Louisiana, the United States can just continue. It's just a blip. For us, what is a blip to Canada can be a major catastrophic event for Jamaica. And as a result, our life as a nation has been characterized by essentially going from dealing with one crisis to dealing with another. I'll never forget, after we successfully concluded the precautionary standby arrangement with the IMF in 2019, which followed the extended fund facility with the fund, within weeks, Jamaica found itself, and we all know what those years required, the level of reform and engagement that could not have been successful without the dedication of the public service. But as soon as that was concluded, within weeks, Jamaica found itself on a gray list with FATF. Not due to anything that we had done at that point, but just some arbitrary changes in the Financial Action Task Force in how the threshold that is used to determine whether or not a country follows up with their regional anti-money laundering organization or whether they're elevated to the global level. This is a threshold. So you have the deficiencies. Everybody knows the deficiencies. But if you're, to get technical, if your broad money level is beyond a particular threshold, then you follow up with FATF and you're gray listed. If it's below that threshold, you stay regional and you just deal with the deficiencies, and it's not a, you just deal with them. Well, there's an arbitrary change in 2019 that lowered the threshold, and immediately Jamaica and Barbados were gray listed with all that came with that. The announcement going out to the entire world of financial institutions. If you're doing business with these countries, you have to engage in special due diligence, which led to a lot of other things. So Jamaica had to buckle down and deliver on an action plan over 13 years, over 4 years, a 13-point action plan over 4 years, which tested the public service, tested public administration. And I am proud of the fact that Jamaica was able to deliver on that 13-point action plan due to the leadership and dedication and commitment of Jamaica's public servants. The Attorney General's Chambers, Office of the Chief Parliamentary Counsel, the DPP, the Real Estate Board, the Public Accountancy Board, the BGLC, the BOJ, the FSC, the Companies Office, and many others played critical roles in that success. And I was in Singapore at the end of June to receive the news that Jamaica had exited the grey list. It was a great experience and a fantastic achievement for Jamaica. And remember, our grey listing came during COVID. It was in February of 2020. And the action plan never changed because we had the greatest crisis in our history. The action plan remained the same, and the public service had to deliver. But as soon as we get out of that, come back to Jamaica, and within a few days is burial. You understand what I'm saying? That is the life of a developing country, a small island development state. There is no breathing space. It is crisis on top of crisis that you have to be able to navigate. Which is why I've put such an emphasis on resilience. That, if it's one thing that has characterized my 10 years as Minister of Finance and the Public Service, it has been to emphasize the preeminent need for resilience for the Jamaican state to be prosperous and to succeed. Resilience economically, making sure we have low debt, high reserves in our central bank, and the framework to sustain low and stable inflation. And economic and resilience to natural disaster and other forms of resilience. Now, because of what I've just described, that where we find ourselves constantly having to live up to international standards in every area of life that pay no regard to size. It requires us to have a similar infrastructure to what the UK has, in the sense that you have to have your anti-doping authority, you need your fair trading commission, you need your, right? The building blocks of a state have to all be present in little Jamaica with 3 million people, as it is in big United Kingdom with 65 million people. Are you following what I'm saying? So the building blocks all have to be in place, regardless of size. And on top of that, you add that we are not, they're rich and we are, we are not, we are a poor country. And so the demands on us to be successful are greater. You ever hear the expression from anybody who has, that you take a surgeon out of Jamaica and you put him or her in the United Kingdom or in Canada, and it's like the breeze. Because to succeed as a surgeon at KPH, you got to be twice as good. Because in well-developed economies, there's somebody doing this, and all you have to do is this, and be really good at this. Because somebody's doing that, and they're doing that, and you have to focus here. What we find, and I use the example of the surgeon at KPH, but it's true for everybody here. To succeed here, you have to not just be good at that, you have to be able to do the range. The range requirement, the breadth requirement in a small island development state is much larger. And so it is analogous to what we often hear of underrepresented groups in the context of, let us use in the context of the United States, that you have to be twice as good to succeed. You ever hear that? If you're a woman in male-dominated country, Jamaica is a little different in that regard, but we still have challenges. You have to be twice as good as a woman to succeed. Or in a country that has a history of racial prejudice, you have to be twice as good to succeed. Well, let me tell you, among the League of Nations, you have to be twice as good as a poor small island development state to be successful. And that has got to be the focus of our attention at Mind. We have to be twice as good. Think about it for a moment. Think of what we are required to juggle at the same time. Fiscal reform, monetary reform, public body reform, governance reform, procurement reform, public investment reform, compensation reform, allowance reform, digital reform, and are not finished. All of FATF reform, building code reform, all of these happening at the same time contemporaneously. When you are in other places, you can take it, sequence things. But we don't have that luxury. We have to be twice as good. And that is why the Management Institute of National Development is of critical importance. Because the only way in which we are going to achieve our development goals in the light of the tremendous uphill escalator that we are, I like to, Michael Manley wrote a book, Up the Down Escalator, in the 1970s, and the title is quite apt. Because it is as if the escalator is going down and we are required to go up. Meaning that given our size and level of economic development and the standards that we have to meet at the same time, it poses unique and significant challenges. So the only way we are going to get there is if we continue to invest in the leadership capacity of our public service. And investing in that leadership capacity has got to be indigenized. In other words, we can't simply, because of what I've just described, we can't simply take courses from overseas and replicate them here. We have got to develop our own pedagogical approach, develop our own courses here in Jamaica that can respond to our circumstances, because we have to be twice as good. And I think the time is apt for us to develop in some collaborative way. I'm not here to say how, but for us to develop a school of government in Jamaica. The University of the West Indies has a department of government, and then we have the Management Institute of National Development. Countries that are successful, as I mentioned, have excellent public administrations. And when you look further, they tend to have institutions that churn out leaders who are adept at navigating the public administrative apparatus in that particular country. So if you go to Washington, D.C., you'll find that a lot of the people in leadership in their public administration have either gone to the Woodrow Wilson School of International of Policy, whatever it's called, at Princeton University, or they've gone to the Kennedy School of Government, or they've gone to one of the prominent schools of government in the United States where you're prepared to become a public administrator, to become a public service leader. Specific preparation, postgraduate preparation. When we're finished with all of these reforms, procurement reform, public investment reform, and all of the others that I've mentioned, you're going to need special qualifications to be able to navigate. In fact, that evidence is before us right now. When we try to take on large procurement projects that are multifaceted and that are complex, we often find that along the way errors are made. And after 6 months, after 9 months, we have to do the procurement again. And so it takes us 3 years or 2 years or 5 years for us to engage in the expansion of the infrastructure that we need to service the Jamaican people. And the reason for that is that Jamaica, we may be an informal society, but with the reforms that we have gone through, there's nothing informal about anything that we do in the public service. It is all highly documented, extremely procedural, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to make mistakes on a daily basis that are costly to the country. So with the complex layers of laws, rules, regulations, procedures that have come from our ambitious, multidimensional reform program, we're going to need to specially train our own cadre of future public service leaders. You here are twice as good because you have been on the job while these reforms have been underway, and you have had to do your job and at the same time keep up with the reforms. Huh? So give yourselves a round of applause. You are twice as good. Twice as good. Don't make anybody tell you anything else. You are twice as good. But to sustain it, and to make sure that the generations that come behind you, the only way we're going to do it is if we have the dedicated educational infrastructure to train, to nurture, to develop, and to produce public service leaders who are acquainted with, who are knowledgeable about, who are detailed in their familiarity with the complex layers of laws and procedures and regulations that govern public service delivery in Jamaica. So chairman of mine, Professor Waller, CEO of mine, Dr. Brown, I want to put you on notice in a good way that I am going to be championing from my neck of the woods I am not the Minister of Education, but from my neck of the woods, I'm going to be championing that we go the full way, the full distance. We go the full distance. I am going to champion that we go the full distance and we create a school of government in Jamaica in a collaborative way, in the most efficient way. We have resources at UWI, we have resources at mine. I can't tell you how to do it, but we create a school of government in Jamaica that can produce public service leaders in perpetuity. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Wow. I'd like to thank the Honorable Audrey Sewell for inspiring remarks and Dr. Nigel Clark's call to conference. Dr. Clark, you'll be pleased to know that MIND is already ahead of the curve as it relates to resilience, as we will be delivering a course called Cultivating Resilience, an imperative to leading self and others. And that will be in the third quarter, I believe. So this opening ceremony is being streamed live, and I would like to acknowledge the interpretation services provided by the Jamaica Association for the Deaf to my right. As we work to inspire change and drive innovation within our public sector organization, music plays a vital role in fostering creativity, collaboration, and emotional connection. It ignites passion, evokes emotions, and brings people together in harmony. In much the same way, effective leadership requires us to connect with others on a deeper level, understand their unique perspectives, and rally them towards a common goal. Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together and welcome a musical performance by Kemoy Gordon on his violin.
what a night. Oh gosh, what a night. Just the two of us. Wine some more, show me. Shall I be? Make believe we're alone. Just you and us. Take the profits, leave them behind. Don't let it show. Go with it, go with it, go with it. When you're wrapped up in my arms, dancing to a reggae song, feel.
My name is Kamoy Gordon, and indeed it's been a pleasure being here. Let me thank the MIND team for extending this invitation. Let me greet the CEO, Dr. Ruby Brown. I also must greet my good friend, and a little bit of backstory. Our minister, Dr. Clark, he established a program many years ago called the National Youth Orchestra, and that's how I started my journey through a non-profit organization. You know, I was a student at Kingston College at the time, and we went after school, you know, this non-profit organization. It was fully free for us, and, you know, I started my journey there, and Uncle Nigel supported us right throughout, you know. So it's been a journey, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity, this life-changing opportunity. Blessings.
You know, they say sometimes things don't happen by coincidence. We had no idea of the link between Kemoy Gordon and Dr. Nigel Clark. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another rousing round of applause to Kemoy Gordon. Just a few housekeeping matters. On your tables, you will see a QR code. Once you scan that code, it will give you access to the conference program, our evaluation forms, other courses offered by MIND, and so on. The location of our secretariat, should you have any need for any particular information or anything else, our secretariat is located outside of the ballroom, and make a left turn. The offices will be on the right. I now invite you to a 30-minute break and for you to partake of the provided refreshments. And we will resume at 11:15 promptly for the first keynote session. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and I invite you to your break. Want to take this opportunity also just to recognize and thank our conference partners, Office of the Cabinet, CARICAD, our sponsors, National Housing Trust, Sagicor Bank, and Ashley Furniture.